Cowboys Nation, we've got breaking news. The Dallas Cowboys have made another move, and this one involves the quarterback position. After some speculation about adding a backup, the team has officially pulled the trigger on a trade for former New England Patriots QB Joe Milton. So, let's break it down. The Cowboys are sending a fifth-round compensatory pick to the Patriots in exchange for Milton and a seventh-round pick. This is the third time this year that Dallas has executed a late-round pick swap to acquire a player. Clearly, the front office sees value in these moves, but does this one actually improve the team? Now, let's put this trade in context. The Cowboys needed a backup quarterback. The depth chart behind Dak Prescott wasn't exactly solid, with Will Grier being the only real option. So Dallas took advantage of the opportunity to bring in Milton, a player with intriguing physical tools, but plenty of question marks. This kind of move isn't new for the Cowboys. Remember last year when they made a similar trade for Trey Lance? That deal was a bit higher profile, but the logic was the same. Take a chance on a quarterback with upside at a bargain price. The difference? Milton cost even less. But was this the right move? That's where you come in. Grade the trade. Drop your rating in the comments. A. Great move. Milton has real potential. B. Solid trade, but nothing special. C. Meh. Doesn't really move the needle. D. Waste of a draft pick. F. What were they thinking? Let me know what you think. And don't go anywhere, because up next, we're diving deep into who Joe Milton really is. Does he have what it takes to be a legitimate QB in the NFL? Let's find out. All right, now that we've covered the trade itself, let's talk about the player the Cowboys just acquired. Who exactly is Joe Milton, and what does he bring to the table? If you're not too familiar with him, here's a quick rundown. Milton started his college career at Michigan before transferring to Tennessee, where he showed flashes of elite physical talent but struggled with consistency. He was drafted in the 6th round by the Patriots, and while he didn't see much regular season action, he did get a chance to start the final game of the year. And to be fair, he played well. 241 passing yards, a touchdown, and a solid showing. But was that enough to believe he can be a real asset to the Cowboys? Let's talk about his strengths first. This guy is a physical specimen. He stands at 6'5", weighs around 246 pounds, and has one of the strongest arms in the NFL. We're talking about a quarterback who can launch the ball 80 yards downfield without breaking a sweat. He's also mobile, meaning he has the ability to escape pressure and extend plays. On paper, Milton checks every box for a prototypical modern NFL quarterback. But here's the catch. His weaknesses are just as glaring. Accuracy has been a huge issue throughout his career. In the preseason, he completed under 40% of his passes. That's not a typo. His decision-making can be questionable, and his ability to read defenses is still a work in progress. And let's not forget, he spent 6 years in college without ever fully securing a starting role for an extended period. If you're looking for a comparison, he reminds me a lot of Trey Lance. Incredible raw tools, but the consistency just isn't there. At least not yet. The big question is whether the Cowboys can develop him into something more than just a highlight reel player. What do you think? Can Joe Milton refine his skills and become a legitimate NFL quarterback? Vote in the poll. Yes, he just needs time to develop. No, he's too inconsistent. Drop your vote in the comments and stick around, because next, we're diving into what this move actually means for the Cowboys' future. So now that we know who Joe Milton is, the next big question is, why did the Cowboys make this move, and what does it say about their future plans? Let's start with the most obvious takeaway. This trade shows that the Cowboys are doubling down on Dak Prescott as their franchise quarterback, at least for now. If there were any real doubts about Dak's status, Dallas would have made a bigger move at QB instead of bringing in a developmental project like Milton. This isn't about finding Prescott's replacement. It's about adding depth behind him. Now, how does this impact the backup quarterback battle? Right now, the depth chart looks like this. Dak Prescott. No debate here. Joe Milton? Not guaranteed, but the Cowboys wouldn't trade for him if they didn't think he had a shot. Will Grier. He's been with the team, but does he have the upside Milton brings? Milton's physical traits are more impressive than Grier's, but Grier knows the system better. This competition is far from over, and training camp will be the deciding factor. Who do you think should be the QB2 in Dallas, Joe Milton or Will Grier? Let me know in the comments. This trade also gives us insight into the Cowboys draft strategy. Before this move, there was some talk about Dallas using a late-round pick on a quarterback. That's almost certainly off the table now. They've already used a fifth-round pick to get Milton, so it wouldn't make sense to spend another draft pick at the position. Instead, they can focus on other needs like offensive line depth, linebacker help, or even a running back. Financially, this was also a low-risk move. Milton's rookie contract is cheap, and since New England already paid part of his signing bonus, the Cowboys aren't on the hook for much. If Milton turns out to be a solid backup, this could end up being a steal for Dallas. But here's something to think about. Could this trade hint at a bigger move coming next season? Maybe the Cowboys are thinking ahead to 2025, when Prescott's contract situation could get tricky. Could Milton be a long-term project Dallas is hoping to develop into something more? What do you think? Is this just a depth move, or is there something bigger at play? Let's talk about it in the comments. Coming up next, we're going to compare this trade to some of the Cowboys' past quarterback moves and see if this follows a familiar pattern. Don't go anywhere. If this trade for Joe Milton feels familiar, that's because the Cowboys have taken similar chances on quarterbacks before. So how does this move compare to past decisions at the QB position? Let's start with the most obvious comparison, Trey Lance. Last year, Dallas made headlines by trading a fourth-round pick for Lance, a former top-3 draft pick who never found his footing in San Francisco. The idea was simple: bet on his raw talent and see if he could develop into something more. The trade for Milton follows a similar logic, but with even less risk. Instead of giving up a fourth-rounder, the Cowboys only sacrificed a late fifth-round pick while also getting a seventh-rounder back. Another past move that comes to mind is Cooper Rush. Though he was an undrafted free agent, Dallas kept him around for years, and when he finally got his shot, he proved to be a capable game manager who could step in when needed. The difference? Rush doesn't have Milton's physical tools, but he has what Milton lacks: consistency. And let's not forget Ben DiNucci. Remember that experiment? The Cowboys took a flyer on him as a late-round pick, but it was clear pretty quickly that he wasn't going to be a long-term answer. Dallas has a history of trying to find hidden gems at QB, but the success rate has been hit or miss. So here's the big question: was this the right move? Some fans might argue that instead of taking another chance on a project, the Cowboys should have pursued a more proven backup. They could have gone after a veteran like Gardner Minshew or Jacoby Brissett, guys who have starting experience and could step in if Dak were to miss time. Instead, they went with a raw talent who may never be more than a preseason highlight reel. What do you think? Should the Cowboys have gone after a more experienced QB instead of Milton, or do you like this strategy of betting on upside? Let me know in the comments. Up next, we'll look at Joe Milton's future in Dallas and whether he has a real shot at becoming more than just a backup. Now that Joe Milton is officially a Cowboy, the big question is, what's next? Can he prove himself in Dallas? Or is this just another short-term experiment that won't last beyond training camp? The most immediate test will be the preseason. Milton will need to show that he's more than just a guy with a rocket arm. He has to prove he can run an offense, make smart decisions, and be consistent. If he struggles the way he did in the preseason with the Patriots, his time in Dallas might be short-lived, but if he flashes his potential, those deep throws, that mobility, the physical tools that made him intriguing in the first place, he could make the battle for the QB2 spot very interesting. And that brings us to Will Grier, Right now, he's the presumed backup to Dak Prescott. He knows the system and the Cowboys trust him. But let's be real. He's not a long-term solution, and if Milton can show growth, he might leapfrog Greer and secure that role. That leads to an even bigger conversation. Could Milton be a long-term project for the Cowboys? Trey Lance is already here as another developmental QB, but the reality is that neither he nor Milton are guaranteed to stick around. However, if Milton shows progress and earns a spot on the depth chart, Dallas could invest in his development over the next few years and see where it leads. Ultimately, this was a low-risk, high-upside move. The Cowboys didn't give up much, and if Milton doesn't pan out, it won't hurt them in the long run. But if he does develop, they might have found a diamond in the rough. So, what do you think? Can Milton win the QB2 job? Do you see him as a long-term project or just another camp arm? Let me know in the comments. That wraps up today's breakdown of the Cowboys' latest move. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update on America's team. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.